My name is Glenda, and what I want you to know about me is I am a storyteller, and my stories are not once upon a time stories, but they're living history. Being a preacher, a minister, I'm the second woman, by the way, minister at my church, 115 years old. I'm the second woman on the staff. And um, I like to tell the stories because I think some things are just divine. So the ministry that ordained me in Commerce City in 2017 um, had additional training in Washington, D.C. We all go to the Smithsonian and all, the conference, Christian conference. We get tickets for Wednesday. You need at least 8 hours to even just get a little whiff, just get a little taste of what's in the museum. It's incredibly powerful. I start on the fourth floor. Chuck Berry's Eldorado Cadillac. Oh, that's so cute. And Little Richard's, diamonds and what have you. And our family is pretty gifted artistically as well. So I was looking for my two relatives, Bobby Blue Bland, who worked alongside all his life, B.B. King. Found him on floor 3, I think. So I found Bobby and I didn't find Roman. And so we'll go on down. You just rush through stuff. That was that Wednesday. So my daughter calls and says, we're staying in Maryland, but we have a ticket for you. So we'll meet you at the gate on Saturday. I meet them and we go in, but I knew to start in the basement because I rushed in the basement. And that's where you can be paralyzed there reading all that stuff because all the slave ships are there and the people and the stories and it's just very moving. So I said, you all can go up. I'm going down. They said, no, we'll stick together. So my daughter then starts this conversation. Mom, all that stuff you've done in Denver and Boulder, CU, Front Range, Longmont, all of that Second Baptist Church, about Martin Luther King telling your stories and all that about the sanitation strike. Don't you think you're in this museum? And I just did that. I said, are you kidding? Not a chance. There's not a chance, honey, that I think I could be in here. And so we ride up the escalator. So we must have been in the basement and on up to 1. I don't know if it's 1 or 2, but as soon as we ride up, she goes, there's that picture right there that everybody knows, with you. There's your sign, and there's your roommate right there. And so people were like, it was mayhem. They were pushing us along and moving. Is that you? And I was like, yeah. So there I was for all of history. Abraham Lincoln, that picture with me holding a sign saying, honor King, end racism. And down at the bottom corner of that is Abraham Lincoln. I'm saying, wow. I was just blown away. It's so, I don't know, it's so exhilarating, exciting to think that a lot of me is about history and I live it. But to think that you're on the pages and can be seen is pretty amazing. It originated with the Withers Museum and Gallery collection in Memphis, Tennessee. And it's at the National Civil Rights Museum. So we were there last October, and I figured it had to be here somewhere. It's the very last picture before you exit the door. And I'm thinking, what has got to be the last picture? But that was his very last deed on earth. As you exit the door, it's at the National Civil Rights Museum, which is the old Lorraine Motel where he was shot and killed, rooms 306 and 7. We didn't know we were making history, but we were standing up for what was right, treating people like you want to be treated. That's America's motto. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so that's kind of what we were doing on behalf at this time of the sanitation workers, the garbage workers. They had no work hours, no set work hours. They couldn't take breaks, couldn't take lunch hours, couldn't ride in the cab of the truck. And so they were trying to get them to have a union and have some basic human rights. And those men were anywhere from 20s to 85 years old. And so retirement was out of the question. They just worked until they died. Robert Walker and Echo Cole, ages 30 and 36, were swinging off the back, and black men were not allowed to ride in the cab of the truck. They had to swing off the back and pick up the garbage and do whatever. And so that spring, I remember like it was yesterday. It didn't really snow in Memphis, but the sleet was bone-chilling cold. And so they climbed in the back of the truck to get dry and to get in out of the rain, the sleet, and the cold, and to warm up. And someone came along and flipped the switch, and they were ground up with the garbage. Those two men died that day. And so when people died, Dr. King said, I'm coming. I'll be in Memphis. And, of course, that was March 28th, 1968. A riot erupted in that March, and Dr. King retreated and was taken back to the airport and flown back to Atlanta. But he said, I will be back because I only conduct nonviolent marches. That march ended in a riot. People began to throw rocks and to disrupt the order of things. And so he left and went back. What we had no idea of was that he would come back exactly 1 week later. 7 days later, he returned, and of course, at Mason Temple Church of God in Christ, he gave that infamous I've been to the mountaintop speech on the night of April 3rd, 1968, and then, of course, April 4th, 1968. Standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, he was brutally murdered, shot in the head, and killed. So, America thought they had killed the dream, but I say the dream is bigger now than it ever has been. And I feel it's my personal responsibility to keep the dream alive. And that's what I've been doing. And the best phase of my life, I believe, is right now. This year has been just incredible. I've gotten awards for things that I've done these last 70 years that I am just, it's just old hat for me, I guess you could say. But literally being recognized for what you enjoy doing is quite a feat. I was supposed to present at Longmont City Council our proclamation recipient. But I got this call from the Colorado Dr. Martin Luther King Holiday Commission that I had been nominated to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award in the name of Manola Upshaw. And so just nominated. And then, of course, a day or two later, it's like, you've been selected, and we need you at the Denver Center for Performing Arts on Tuesday, January 9th or 10th, whatever the date was, which is when I was supposed to have been at the city council meeting to present that. Of course, my sister Madeline stood in for me there. And I went down, and what an incredible honor it was to accept, receive. I had to give a little acceptance speech. And it was at the Denver Center for Performing Arts. And so we were serenaded by the Denver Symphony, accompanied by the Five Points Quintet, I think. It was incredible. They served food at the Denver Center and to the general public. And what was significant about that was that they said, everyone is welcome. Because people were saying, no, it's just for a certain group, it's for the recipients, it's for this and that. And I had told people at my church that it was for everyone. Got that confirmation. And I was so excited about that because homeless people could come in and have a meal. It was the first time that when they started doing it years ago, they established that as their basis and said that we want everyone to partake of this opportunity because that's Dr. King's beloved community. The final, at the end of Black History Month, mid-month, there were nominations for Congressman Joe Negus's office, from his office, for the Congressional Gloria Tanner Community Service Award. So, congressional, that's national. So we go from state of Colorado, Martin Luther King Holiday Commission Award to Congressional Gloria Tanner nomination. And then I got this call that on February 23rd, we need you at the governor's mansion because you've been selected from around the state. And I'm thinking, wow, they're coming out of Denver, Aurora now. And so I was nominated, and then I got a call that said, this was easy for us because not only did your name come up once, twice, it just kept coming up. And so we're honored to present this to you, and of course I was honored to receive it. My great-grandfather was born in 1824. As an enslaved person, they walked from Jamestown, Virginia, through North Carolina into Tennessee as enslaved people, he and my great-grandmother. And they did, ironically, the same type of work that all of my brothers and sisters did, that my mom and dad did, that my grandparents did. They were church planters. They were sort of business owners, entrepreneurs, if you could say that, as an enslaved couple. But the community mattered to them. And so not only did it matter that they were okay and they worked as a team, but that the community around them worked as a team. Well, he was born in 1824. On April 23rd, 2022, the town, I grew up in a little town north of Memphis, Millington, Rosemark, Atoka, Tennessee. So the town of Millington, they have a city government, and they have this historical award. And so they honored great-grandma Mary Emma Hill Stewart and great-grandpa John Wesley Stewart on April 23rd, 2023, with a bronze monument. I was there last year at Christmas time, and I had the opportunity to go drive up the road that leads to our home site where we grew up. And I just had to take a picture of it. And her story is on one side, because she was known for bringing the community together. It didn't matter whether you were black, white, that's another whole history lesson, but Jim Crow, that's what was pervasive then. It was what was face it, when I grew up, Jim Crow said everything must be separate and equal. But if anybody knows anything about the Jim Crow system, we know that it was very much separate and very much unequal. So they were still by the power, and they say by the power of God, to accomplish that. You know, we're placed on this earth to take care of each other. Red, yellow, brown, black, white. We're all precious in God's sight. And so we're put here to help each other and to work together and build each other. And that's what they did. That's what my grandpa Strong, Murda Sylvester Strong, who was born in 1860, I think I told you about that, enslaved, of course. But at the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865 by President Abraham Lincoln, he became a citizen. He went on, grew up on the farm, and became, he was taken to the university by the AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church, and by a white Presbyterian minister. I think his name was William Marion. Got his college degree in the late 1880s. I have some of his ledgers. He was the church secretary. So I have some of his general ledgers where he took minutes and, wrote everything and signed. Respectfully, yours, Murda Sylvester Strong. So they called him Professor Strong. I thought it was a joke at first, but he taught. After getting his education, he taught for 53 years right there in that community. He was a minister, but he always said, I'm not really a minister. I just like to do short talks. And then we all laugh because if anybody knows any Strongs, whatever Strongs you know, they don't do short talks. I'm sure you can attest to that. And so now he died in 1946. I was born in 1948, so I did not know him, but I know him. Because you mentioned legacy, his legacy, John Wesley and Mary Emma Hill Stewart's legacy, live on in each one of us. And I'm so grateful to have that knowledge and to keep finding out things about how absolutely incredible they were because of their faith in God and because of what they knew they were put on this earth to do, and that was to take care of and encourage and build people. And I feel that I'm just to be acknowledged and honored for that. And then in April, March was Women's History Month. I think the city of Boulder highlighted me and my work in civil rights. That's kind of been my mantra since 1968 in that last march with Dr. Martin Luther King. So there's this little sweet lady at our church who's going to be 94 on Friday. And there's an old gospel tune that says, "May the work I've done speak for me." That's her motto, and that's my motto. And since I shared with you, this is what I've been doing all my life. Serving people and honoring people and esteeming others higher than myself. And it's what I love doing. And so to be honored for it is just amazing. So I'm grateful, beyond grateful, that people recognize that things that I've done, that I've been consistent about over the 43 years that I've been here, mattered. And my life has made a difference. That's how I want to be remembered, that my life certainly made a difference.